Alright, well, we just received ArcGIS 10.2 the other day. Got it installed on a couple machines over here at the GIS Center in Pocatello, the ISU campus. Had it installed on my desktop just yesterday, and I'm gonna fire up, give this a kind of a first look. I've been putzing with it a little bit. Doesn't seem very different at all to me compared to the other. I guess that there are several hundred little bugs and things that have been fixed and some new tools that have been enabled. But yeah, it does look pretty darn similar right off the bat to what we had before. Whenever I start up new versions of software, especially ArcGIS, I like to test to see if it held on to my old settings. So I'm going to go over here to GIS servers, and there's all my new my stuff that existed on 10.1. So that carried right across real nice. I want to fire up the Add ArcGIS Server, see if that interface looks the same. Yeah, it does. I would use services, put the URL in here, and everything looks the same as it did before. So that's nice. No surprising changes here. Database connections. There's our database connection to the ArcSDE server that we're using here. The server's named Selway, so it's part of its name there. Seems to connect real fast, actually. Now this is this SDE, ArcSDE, is version 10. Of course, we're using 10.2, so the connection, I was a little bit worried about that, but the connection is just fine. Of course, you have to make the connection in a different way than this. Using this tool will not connect to a 10.0 ArcSDE. It'll connect up to a 10.1 and a 10.2. So you have to do that in a slightly different way. We can talk about that later, but that seems fine. The database servers, there's the SQL Express that detected that, and it also has found all my existing network drives that I have previously connected with connect a folder, as well as my main GIS research work folder. So that's great. I don't have to re-establish anything, don't have to redo anything. So that's kind of a neat deal. One thing I noticed when I was installing this, or after this software was installed, there's a new piece of software that appears, and it's called well, here's a couple of new things. ArcGIS Document Defragmenter. So I'm going to go in here and see what all the new stuff is. There is some different stuff. Desktop tools. What's in here? MXD Doctor. I noticed that one before. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up. See what it's going to do for us. Gives us a little warning to make sure that you've backed up your document before running this thing. So before I continue, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go out to Windows Explorer. I'm just going to take any one of my, I'll take this Campus Streets document, MXD, that it doesn't have any problems. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just curious what this little tool is going to do. So I'm going to copy it, paste it right on top of itself, so now I've got a copy to make use of for this little experiment. There's my MXD doctor. I'll say, yeah, continue now. And point it to the one I just copied. It can take some time, it says. I'll say, yeah, that's fine, let's do it. It's going to populate a few things in here, what it's going to check for me, and that's alright. I'll say, generate some sort of diagnostic report, and there it goes. It's worked at it, looked at 34 different things apparently. Lots of stuff, but no corrupt objects were found. I didn't expect it would find any corrupt objects anyway, but just curious what this thing was going to do. And I guess if it did find something wrong, we'd go over here to this treatment tab of the MXD Doctor and tell it to, make some selections in here and try to fix the document. What does this other one do? The Document Defragmenter. File or folder selection options. Documents. There's no help on this, so I don't really know what it's going to do. It says the defragmenter can also be run from the command line. Let's see what it's looking for. I think it's going to be looking for a MXD. And I'll tell it to go over here to the C data, my GIS folder, and I'll point it to this same one we just made a copy of. Hey, if it messes it up, it's alright, it's just a copy anyway. Create new file with defrag. Well, let's see what it's going to do. It's defragmenting. I wonder if it's it wouldn't be watching it through that. It is going, right? Not sure. Well, we'll let this thing work at this for a little while we putz with some other stuff. Another new tool that I found out is available in ArcGIS10.2 is the ability to write directly to Excel files. For quite a while we've been able to read Excel files, including XLSX files, but we haven't been able to write or create a new Excel file from ArcGIS. For that reason, some of us, and myself included, have used and kept using occasionally some DBF files. I don't really use shapefiles ever anymore, so don't need the DBF for that purpose, but I have been using some DBFs if I have to take some data out of a geodatabase. Maybe I want to run some mathematic functions inside of Excel, run some of their statistical analysis inside of Excel, or do a little bit nicer charts and those sort of things. So I do put a lot of stuff into Excel. Usually it comes out of a geodatabase and then goes as a DBF. I open up the DBF inside of Excel and go from there. But hey, if we can do this as one smooth step instead of going from ArcGIS to a DBF and then to Excel, hey, that's all the better. Let's give this a try. I'm going to find some data here. Here's our Recover project. We have a geodatabase here, primary geodatabase for at least some of this initial research. I've got a little summary file here. This is a standalone attribute table, but of course there's attribute tables assigned to all these different, or part of these different feature classes. Let's take a look at this one here, preview it. Okay, that's what this thing looks like. Let's see if we can get this out in Microsoft Excel. So that tool, we can get at it in a couple of ways. One is we can search for it. That's about the easiest way as far as I'm concerned. Find it. I don't have to worry about where it's stored inside of Arc Toolbox. Instead, I just find it this way and I say, okay, I'm going to take a table and convert it to Excel. Let's do that. There we have it. So the input table, yes, it's okay. So this still stayed around. It's a annoying little thing. I believe it's actually Microsoft Windows 7. Thinks that everything I run inside of ArcGIS 10.0, 10.1, and still 10.2 is some sort of insecure ActiveX control, and it may be dangerous. So I click this about 1,000 times a day, it seems like, and unfortunately that little glitch still stuck around. Not sure if that's Esri, Arc, or Microsoft. I think it's more the latter. So let's go here again. This is where I was a little while ago. There's my summary table. It's thinking about it, reading it, and it says, hey, I'll write this out to this output. But this is interesting here. Use field alias as the column header. So I'm going to see if I can actually apply an alias now and get that to take effect. There's no aliases on this thing right now, I don't believe. Let's take a look at it. Go to the properties of this standalone table. Aliases are the exact same thing as the field name. So let me go ahead and change one of these. I'll change this one that's called agency. I'll apply an alias of agency name to this. And it didn't update here, but I'll go ahead and tell it to update. by doing an F5. May have to close this up just to get it to do this. Oh, right. Inside ArcCatalog, ArcCatalog does not show aliases, so that we won't see those until we would open up ArcMap. So I'll just trust that it's there, and I'll go ahead and fire up that same tool once again. Yep, there's my error again. And here's our summary table. I'm going to tell it to write it out to, let's see, this is my C Data GIS, my main working folder, and the temp folder inside of it, so that'll work out nicely. And I'll give it a name. I'll say converted to Excel. Save it. And I'll tell it to use the column headers and see if it actually does that. Use the aliases as the column headers. So do it. I'm looking for the marquee. It didn't appear here. Maybe it just worked too fast at this. Waiting for my toaster. There we are. The toaster has popped up. Can take a look at this also, get some more information about this little job. Executed in less than, it says 0.68 seconds. I think it was probably longer than that, but took a little while to fire up the engine to do the work, I suppose. Well, let's take a look and see if we can find that file. Here's my C Data GIS temp, and there indeed is the converted to Excel file that I just wrote. Take a look at this. I'm launching it. We'll compare it to this original. I'm curious to see if it did apply alias instead of the actual field name. Well, Excel's taking its time to launch. Hey, it did. There we go. Remember we applied an alias to this, so hey, that worked out very slick. It's great. We can go directly in and out of Excel with ArcGIS, and I guess it's the DBF is dead. Now this might be the final nail in that coffin. So cool stuff. Some pretty neat stuff. I actually think that it might run a little bit faster. Some of my experience just running at a handful of times seems like it might be a little bit faster than the other version. Some really cool tools I'm hearing about, and we'll explore some more of those